Welcome to Ionic tutorial. I am Jayesh Lahare. This is video number 20. In this session we will learn about integration of Google Map using Ionic framework for mobile platform, and at the same time we will try to add markers and we will try to perform certain operations over map like bearing, changing, setting the bearing option, then tilt and zoom, etc. So let's see how the app looks like, which we are going to integrate. So here you can see that I'm using Genymotion emulator, in which there are certain functionalities available related to the map, which is very good for the developer. So on UI side you can see that I have three buttons: map, start, stop, and there are three options which I am using with the help of progress bar, like tilt, zoom and bearing. Before starting the development of Ionic application, there are two ways you can integrate Google Maps in your application. One is using native, which uses the native plugin, and second option is using HTML and JavaScript. So if you use HTML and JavaScript, then it's very light and you can write the code once and it will work for every platform like Android, iOS, BlackBerry, etc. But in that case, if you are going to customize your map, like if you are going to show some real-time directions or drawing the path, then that might be issue with that. But in case of native map, there are a lot of new functionalities and features available which you can easily access. And if we talk about the performance, then performance of the native map is very good as compared to that HTML and JavaScript map. So in this session I'm going to cover only native map using Ionic framework. So in this session I'm going to cover only Android part. You can try with the iOS also. So let's see how application works. So once user clicks over map, then it will load the map from. This is the alert which I am showing when map is ready. So when user click on the map button, it will show the map option over here, some sort of map UI, and when user clicks on start button, then it will read the real-time geolocation and it will update the map according to that. So on Genymotion on right side there are GPS options. If you click over that, then it will help you to perform certain GPS related functionalities. Like this window will appear. So by default it's off. When you click over it, it will give you this console through which you can pass latitude and longitude to your simulator or emulator. Like it will emulate, or it will just copy the real time, or it will mimic the real time scenario on your emulator. So here you can set any latitude, longitude and send it to the device. So when your user click on start button, we will start reading the geolocation. It's asking permission. So when user click on start geo, then it will read the location, and according to this latitude, longitude, it will show the marker over here. Like if you scroll it little bit down, then it will show the current latitude, longitude. Here you can see that it's showing me this 65.966, which is over here. If I change it little bit, let's say 555, and send it, then it will update over here. Also in Genymotion there is a very good or a very beautiful feature which is called map. Like if you click over it, then it will open the mapping service, in which you can search anything. Let's say San Diego. When you hit this search, it will show the map. When you click on any option, let's say over here, then on right side you will see that it will update the map over here. If I click over here on my emulator, my map will update according to the given conditions. So using this feature you can test your map application, and there are three options like I have given tilt, zoom and bearing. So you can play with that. Like in case of bearing, you can rotate the map. You can see that as I'm changing the value of this sig bar or progress bar, whatever you say, my map is rotating also. So the max value is 360 and minimum value is 0. So bearing is the angle through which you can rotate the your Google map. And zoom feature, like zoom feature allows you to zoom your map. Let's see how it works. So here you can see that if I change the value, my map is also zooming. On 24 zoom, this will show me this kind of map. Let's zoom out a little bit. And the tilt is the option in which you can tilt, or what do you guys say, you tilt your map like this. Visually you can see that there is a changes in the map as I change the value of tilt over here. And as you click over here, it will change the value on right side again. So using Genymotion you can perform a little bit kind of direction kind of functionality which is not available in Android default emulator. Like in my previous tutorial I have explained that how you can create GPX file and simulate the different location. So if you are using GPS, if you are writing any GPS related application, then you can use Genymotion, which provide this kind of features for testing. So here you can see the speed. Speed, you will not be able to see the speed on emulator. You can test it on real device. On real device this gives the speed. And heading, which is a bearing. Bearing is the direction in which user is moving. So here you can see that bearing is 346 degree, and so it's showing me 346 over here. When I change it to 72, it will change 72. So these kind of things we can implement in Ionic framework, and you can create the build for Android and iOS. So let's write the application. So before writing anything, let's create the project. Ionic start. I will give the app name as map test, and I will use blank template. So remember one thing, when you are going to develop or when you are going to integrate Google Map in your application, then you need to create account in Google, and you need to configure or create new project in Google's developer console. So in a moment I will show you that how to configure that kind of setting and using one URL. Okay, it looks like project is created. So I'll go inside the project directory and let's hit the Ionic sub command. Okay, it looks like app is loaded. It's taking a little bit time. So this is the default template. So let's remove this default template and let's design our own UI. Let's open the Visual Studio Code and let's open the recently created project directory, which is map test. Let me arrange the window so that we can see what's going on. So on left side you can see the our running application. On right side this is the code. So let's delete this default template, go to src, then pages directory, and go to home.html. and in home.html this is the template which comes with every blank template. So I will delete the title first. I will make it Google Map, and I will create 3 buttons. Ion button, the label should be load. I will simply call it load. This button will be used for loading the map. Then start geo and stop geo. So another button for starting the or listening the geo location, latitude, longitude, and the last one is stop. If I don't want to read any other values or don't want to listen changes in latitude, longitude, then stop button will be helpful. So I will save it, and on left side it will reflect the changes. Okay, our 3 buttons are here. Okay, so over the UI, if you want to show the map, then you have to create one div element, and this div element should be added with few attributes like hash map, which should be used by the plugin, and ID should be map. Remember, this ID should be map. You cannot write it anything, because if you write anything it will not work. And the height of the, I want to give the height of the map on my mobile screen, so I can use 100%, but 100% will consume whole screen of the device, so I don't want that. So I will simply write height of 200 pixels. I can use CSS over here, like I can use SAS variable, but right for now, for saving the time, I'm just writing the CSS component as a inline component. Then after, I'm going to add three ion range components, which will help me to change the value of component of a map, like bearing, zoom, and tilt. So let's create three ion range components. So first of all, I will give the label, and in this label I will write bearing. Then I will create ion range widget. Pin equal true. Pin equal to true means when user slide over that. Let's keep it for now. And ion range, we have to give the minimum value. Bearing is angle, so I will give minimum value 1 and max value to 360 degree. Angles are from 0 to 360 degree, so I will give max is 360. And steps, like when user slide the ion range, then how much what is the incrementable value, what are the steps. So I want to increase it by 1. If you make it 5, then the value from ion range you will get is 1, 5, then 5 plus 5, something like that. So that's it. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so here you can see that it's showing this progress bar, not progress bar, it's a range component. So in range component it's not showing me what is the value. So if I make it pin equal to true and save it, then as I slide this, it will show me the value. Like here you can see that as I slide the range component, it's showing me the value. So max is 360 and minimum is 1. So I will create 3 range components for bearing, range and zoom. So I will just simply copy these lines, and second is tilt. Tilt value is minimum is 1 and maximum is 10, so I will make it 10. Zoom value, I don't know what is that, but I will just guess my logic, so I will make it 100 and I will save it. Okay, so we have these 3 values. So you can see that here is the lot of void value, blank value. It's happening because we are using this map div element, which is consuming this much height. So these there are a lot of white spaces between these zoom and ion range. So it's happening because these components are having default padding and margin. So to remove that padding and margin, you can add attributes called like no margin, no padding. I'm using this because I want to save some space over screen. So I will just copy and paste it with all the ion range component and I will save it. So it's not working, so let's try with some inline CSS component. So I will remove this and I will simply write style equal to margin of 0 pixel and padding 0 pixel. And save it. So now you can see that now I can see all 3 ion range components on the screen. So no padding and no margin attribute not working with ion range. So if it do not works, then in the last you can take the help of CSS, this inline style attribute or statement, whatever. So we have created the UI. Now let's implement the map. So before jump into the development of map application, remember one thing, like whatever the application you create in, you have to specify its package name properly, because that package name will be used by Android's Google developer console. So for that, go to your project directory, and in project directory go to so before that, let's add platform. Like in our case, we are going to add only Android platform. So I'm going to terminate Ionic serve command and let's add Ionic platform, which is Android. So I will use Ionic Cordova platform add and Android. You can choose iOS or other platform. So the platform is added. Now for map purpose, we have to change its a package name. So go to your map test file again, and you can go to config.xml file. This file is available only when you add any kind of platform like Android or iOS. If you have not added any platform, then this file will not be visible. So we need to change the package name in case of Android or iOS. Like in Android, it's called package name, and in iOS it calls bundle identifier. So in our case, I'm going to change this default io.ionic.starter to my one or our one. So I will call it com.maptest.ionic. So this is my this will be my package name in case of Android, and this will be my bundle identifier in case of Ionic. So I will save it. Now let's integrate the map. So I will close this config.xml file and let's go to home.ts file, and over here let's write load map, and I will call this method from home.html. so let's copy it, and in home.html on the click of load button I will attach click event, and mention the method name which is going to execute. So let's add the Google Map plugin. So I will minimize this window and let's open the command prompt, and over here let's write Ionic Cordova plugin add, and over here you can write Cordova dash plugin dash Google Maps, and after that you need to provide certain variables like variable API underscore key underscore for underscore Android equal to the key value. So this key value we need to provide before configuring this Google Map plugin to our Ionic platform. So let's start oops, sorry, this should be Android. So let's start the configuring Google Developer Console for Google Map. So let's minimize this window, and over here let's go to console.developer.google.com. So remember one thing, when you integrate your Google Map in Android or iOS, then your Google Map is going to talk with this Google Play console, and it's going to create certain configurations like your debug key and sharp fingerprint of your debug.keystore file, which I'm going to explain in a moment, and the package name. So before that you have to create a project over this console. Like this is my these are my existing project. So when you open these this console, go to this top left corner, and over here these are the list of projects. So over here you have to create the project first. So I will click this create project, and over here mention the project name. I will say it map test Ionic, and I will simply hit the create. So once I click the create, then you have to choose that project over here. Like we have created this map test, it's still creating. It's gonna take some time because this progress bar is still loading. I'm not able to select it, so we have to wait a little bit. Okay, it's created. Now let's select it. So once you select it, here you can see that it's saying me enable APIs. So before using Google Map in Android or iOS, you have to enable certain APIs for Android and iOS. So select the project first, then go to click over enable APIs and services, and over here you will see that Google Maps for Android API. So select this one, and you can see that enable button is over here. You have to enable this button, or you have to click it over here, because if you do not enable this service Google Map Android API, then map will not display over your application. So let's enable it. It's saying enabling API. Okay, it looks like the Google Maps API for this particular project is enabled. Now go to credentials, and in credentials click over create credentials, and I will simply hit this API key because this API key is required by my Ionic application. So this is the API key, and I will click over restrict key, because I just want to restrict these key with Android application only. So over here you can see there are different options, HTTP, IP address, Android apps, and iOS apps. So if you want to show the maps over to particular platform, then you can choose Android or you can skip it. So in our case I'm going to use Android apps. So click over it, and over here you have to provide the package name and fingerprint. So package name is our package name, which we have mentioned in config.xml file. So in map test we have config.xml file, we have mentioned this package name, which is com.maptest.ionic. so I will copy it and paste this line over here, and on right side you have to mention SHA-1 certificate fingerprint. So these are the fingerprints which is generated by the keystore file, which will be responsible for signing your Android application. So for that, like in my case, I'm using debug.keystore file. So let's locate the debug.keystore file first. So let's open the Windows Explorer, and in Windows Explorer, C is my root directory. So in C directory, go to users. I'm using Windows 10, so the debug.keystore will be available in users directory, but in case of other, you have to find debug.keystore file. So go to users directory, then go to Jayesh is the username, and in Jayesh go to .android directory. In .android directory you will find this file, debug.keystore. So this is the file through which we have to generate the SHA-1 fingerprints for our Google Developer Console. So I will copy this line, because at this path my debug.keystore file is available. So let's open notepad file. I will copy this path for our reference, and the complete path of debug.keystore is c:user Jayesh Android and debug.keystore. So this is the path, and once you find the path, you have to take the help of Java's keytool.exe. So again you have to find the keytool.exe file. So that file is available in c:program file and Java. In Java directory my keytool.exe file is available, so it's always available in JDK directory. So go to JDK, then open the bin file, and over here this one. So keytool.exe is going to show me the SHA-1 fingerprint for this Google Play Console. So we have to go to this location, which is C program file JDK. So I will open another command prompt. Now let's go to this location, this one, C cd program files, cd Java, cd JDK, not JDK 7, it's a JDK 1.8.0, then bin file. So over here, you can see this is the keytool.exe file. So it's showing some these things, means it's working. So what we have to do is we have to perform certain command with certain parameter with this keytool.exe. So I will write the command over here. You can write, or you can refer this one. So we have to execute this line, keytool space dash list /v and keystore, and after that we have to provide this complete path. Copy and paste it over here. That's it. So after that, again the command is not finished. I'm sorry, this command is very long. Dash alias space, the alias of this debug.keystore file is androiddebugkey, and password storepass is Android, and the key password. So this debug.keystore is a keystore file which comes with the Android SDK itself. When you install Android Studio or Android SDK, then this file is automatically written over the system. But when you are going to publish your Android application, then you have to create your keystore file manually, and you have to execute this command again. And once you find the SHA fingerprint, provide that SHA fingerprint over at developer.console. This one you can add multiple package name and SHA1 fingerprints. So this is the command which we are going to execute. So please note this command file with this command line, because it's very important and it's playing a very important role in Google Map integration in Android and iOS. So I will just copy this line and I will paste it over here. Make sure that you paste this line in this C program file Java JDK bin directory, because keytool directory file is available over here. So I will simply hit the enter. So here you can see that it's showing a lot of things: MD5, SHA1, SHA25.6, etc. So we need this only, this line. So select this line and copy it, and when you copy it, just paste it over here. So we are done. So we have to mention the package name and we have to mention the SHA1 fingerprint. So remember one thing, if you do not provide these informations and the Android app, for the Android app, then your map will not work. So mention this and hit the save button. So once you hit the save button, it will show us this key. So this key is the file through which our app will talk with Google Developer Console. So copy it, and this command prompt is not required now, so I will close it. So copy this key file and save it somewhere. So I will save it over here. Now when you are going to add this Google Map plugin, you had to provide that key over here. So let's write this command completely in Notepad. Then we will paste it over there. So write Ionic Cordova plugin add Cordova dash plugin slash dash Google Maps space dash variables, and the first variable is API underscore key underscore for underscore Android equal to, this is the API key which we have copied from our console. Paste. So if you are integrating native Google Maps and this kind of stuff we have to do, which is in which we have to be very careful. But in case of first approach, like which is very simple, which is in which we can integrate map using HTML and JavaScript, that's very easy, in which we do not require this kind of stuff. But anyway, we are focusing on native map only, so we'll talk about this only. So the first parameter is variable is API key for Android, and another one is, like, if you are going to integrate this for Android as well as iOS, then you have to write double dash variable again, and over here you can write API underscore key underscore for underscore iOS equal to, you can write the key for iOS also, but I'm not going to use iOS for now, so I will keep it blank. So this is the complete command or statement which you have to execute to add this Google Map plugin. So in my case, like, I don't know why this plugin do not works. Like over an Ionic community, they have mentioned this bug that this plugin do not works. So you can try at your end whether it works, but in my case it's not going to work. So we have to provide the complete repository path over here of where the plugin is available. So the complete path is like this: https://github.com/maps plugin /Cordova, not Cordova, that's it. So this is the complete path. This is the complete command which will help you to add the Google Map plugin. So copy it and paste it in your command prompt. Enter. It's saying error, variables missing API key for Android. It means we have messed up with some command. Let's see what is the problem. Oh, it should not be variables, it should be variable. And okay, that's great. So copy this line again. Let's try it again. Okay, it's working. So it's fetching that plugin from this repository. So always remember, when you integrate this, you should have one valid Google developer account through which you can create these kind of projects. If you do not have one, then you have to create that. Okay, it looks like plugin is added. Now we are done from this side, but let's perform another command, which is npm space install space /save @ionic -native /google -maps. Okay, Google Map is added. Now let's go to our project. We are ready from we are ready to start the development. So let's go to project. Let's close this one, or let's keep it open until if we do not find any error. So let's go to our project. Let's open home.ts file, and in home.ts file we have to import a lot of stuff. Let's import Google Map. Google Maps and Google Map. Also Google Map events. Not sure why it's not showing over here. Google Maps event and Google Map options. So these are the 4 classes which is required to implement any map in Ionic from @ionic -native /google -maps. So error is gone. Why it's showing error over here? Google Maps. Okay, should be in uppercase. Okay, so now let's go to constructor, and in constructor let's create one variable or parameter, Google Maps Google Maps. Okay, now let's go to load map function which we created earlier. So before writing anything inside it, we have to create two global variables. One is of type map, which will bind with our this home.html's div element, this one, in which we will show the map. So for that we have to create one map variable of type Google Map. Then the HTML element, map element, which will help us to read document elements like div or anything else. So let's go to load map function and let's write everything inside try catch. I'm not a perfect developer, so it might give some error, so I don't want my app to crash. Instead I want to display that in alert. So over here, if there is any error, then I'll show it in alert. And inside try block I will write my map loading logic. So over here you have to write this dot map element equal to document dot get element by ID, and ID was our map. This one is our div element, this one. So it will bind with this map element. Then we have to create few map options, Google Map options, in which like we will be focusing on particular location of with the help of latitude, longitude. So we have to create one variable called, let's create map option of type Google Map options equal to this, and inside this option we have to provide camera. So camera is the class which will help us to focus, or which will help us to show the direction. So in camera we have to again pass one target, and in target we have to provide latitude and longitude. It should be colon over here. So latitude longitude is 0 0, it will not show anything. So let's write something visible or something good. So for that let's open map.google.com, and over here let's find something good. I will search for San Diego and let's zoom it a little bit. So this, I click over here. Now when I click over here it will show me this latitude longitude. So I will copy from here also, you can copy from over here. I will just copy these two parameters which are latitude longitude, and I will pass these latitude longitude over here. These are my latitude and these are the longitude. That's it. So it will our map will focus on this part only. So after that you have to provide certain other parameters, like what is the zoom level you want. So in my case I want let's say 18, and tilt I will show you what is tilt in a moment. Tilt is 30. That's it. So we are done. Now the option is ready. Now we have to create the map. So to create the map, we have to write this dot map equal to this dot Google Maps dot create, and in create you have to provide these two options, which is this dot map element and map option. So we have created the map, but it's still not ready. So for that you have to write this dot map dot which one method, yeah, the one, and in one method you have to provide Google map event dot map ready. So this is the promise. So in promise it will invoke the Google map and it will trigger the condition like then and catch. When everything is fine, then it will trigger then, otherwise catch. So in then method you can say like let's write whatever it's returning. I will call I will show one alert. I will say map is ready to use. That's it. So for now let's implement only then. If you want to implement catch method, then you can create it, but for now let's skip it and let's save it. Let's see whether it's able to invoke this map or not. So we have created it. Now the emulator is already running. I will delete the old instance. Now let's go to our command prompt and let's create the Android build. So it's good practice to use prepare command, because it might possible you have made a lot of changes in your files. So prepare will create or will tell your Cordova builder that these much files are having changes and include those changes. So using prepare command you can consider the resources which are changed in nature. So prepare will help you for that. Okay, there is no error, means we have written code perfectly. Now let's run Android Cordova build Android, which will create APK file for us. Okay, it's giving me error. Look here, Gradle wrapper. So it's happening because the platform which we have added for Android is not compatible with the Cordova version. So as a troubleshoot, we have to remove the platform first. Remove Android, and when we remove that, we have to add one specific platform, which is Android @6.2.2. Okay, no warning. So let's run our Android build command again. At this point it's not showing any error. It means it's compiled successfully. Let's see whether it's able to build the APK. Okay, it's saying build successful in 34 seconds. Now let's see whether it's show us the path of our APK. Okay, it's saying build successful, and this is the path. So let's go to this path and drag this APK in this Genymotion emulator. So let's go to C, learning, map, platform, Android, and then build output, build, then output, and APK. So this is the APK which we got. So let's select and drag it over here. So it's not showing because we have imported a lot of thing in our code in home.ts file, like Google Map and all those things, but we have not mentioned its entries in app.component.ts file. So whenever you import these kind of providers, you have to make the entry of these kind of Google or any provider in app.module.ts and app.component.ts file. So first let's go to app.module.ts file, but before that let's copy this line because we have to write this command, this import, in module.ts also. So let's go over here and paste it again, and after pasting you have to make the entry of Google Maps in provider section here. So just copy this one and paste it over here. That's it. So we have to do that stuff again. Ionic Cordova, prepare Android. Okay, it's showing some warning, but let's ignore those warnings. Let's execute Ionic Cordova, build Android. So while it's building, let's remove the old version of this application. Okay, this time APK is created very quickly. So let's go to our location of APK. Just do the refresh in case. Just drag it to our Genymotion emulator. Okay, so now you can see that the UI is loaded. We have these ion range and this button. So let's click on the load button. Let's see whether we are able to load the map. So I just clicked on load button and it's saying map is ready to use. I press OK and it should show the map over here. Let's see whether it's display something. So the map is ready, but it's not showing anything. So let's try to display marker over this map, whether it display it or not. So let's go to code again and let's open home.ts, and inside our load map function, when the map is ready over here, let's write logic to writing the marker. So basically marker are just a drop down points which pin to the certain location. So over here let's write this dot map dot add marker, and inside marker there are a lot of stuff we are going to write. Like first is title of the marker. The title is hi from Ionic. Then icon, like whether you need icon or of blue, red or whatever. So in our case I'm going to use a blue color marker. Then if you want to attach any animation, let's say animation of type let's say drop, and position is the again our latitude longitude, so you can copy this line and paste it over here. That's it. So when you press the dot with this marker, then there are again condition then and catch. So in then, this this return when user click on this marker, then what operation you want to perform. So over here you can write marker dot on, and inside on you can write Google Maps event dot marker underscore click. So when user click on this marker, it's a subscriber, so we have to write subscribe. I don't know why it's not showing these methods. So when user clicks over these, then I will show alert. Hi there. That's it. Save all in case if there is any problem. Now let's run the commands. Prepare first, and let's remove this old application instance. So when you are going to check this application on Emulator, then make sure that you are using Emulator version which is having Google Play service updated, because the plugin which we are using for Google Map is using is by default uses the Google Play service. So in Genymotion, like I just downloaded it for trial version, and on top right corner here you can see that G apps icon. So just download and run this emulator, and when you click over this, then it will download all the Google Play services and etc. from Play Store, and it will help you to run those plugins which are dependent on Google Play service. So meanwhile it's installing these applications on Emulator, let's build our Android application. Okay, the APK is created. Let's go to location, refresh, and drag and drop. Okay, the UI is ready. Now let's hit on the load button. It's saying map is ready to use. The map is ready to display. Like here you can see that I can see the other buildings and all those things, but the latitude longitude which we have passed, it pointing to some area which is not showing anything. So anyway, map is working, it's displaying a lot of things. Like if you scroll it little bit, then it will show you this these buildings. So we have integrated Google Map successfully. Now it's time to integrate this runtime geolocation with that. So for that, let's go to our app again. So how to integrate the geolocation, I have mentioned it in my previous tutorial. You can refer that, or let's integrate in this project again. So let's go to our command prompt and let's add the geolocation plugin. So let's write Ionic Cordova plugin add, and the plugin name is Cordova -plugin geolocation, and variable which is geolocation underscore sh underscore description. So this will be a default custom message which will appear when you try to invoke some sort of permissions in an Android application. So I will simply use to locate my location. That's it, and press enter. Okay, the plugin is added. Now let's use npm install command @Ionic whatever the command we are going to use, like this one. You can find these commands in my description of my video, so that you don't have to struggle with finding these commands. So I will copy these commands in my my description of my video. So let's wait until it's adding this geolocation plugin. Okay, the plugin is added. Now let's go to our app, and before starting writing any geolocation related code, let's go to app.module.ts and let's make entry of important providers, like import geolocation from @Ionic -native /geolocation. It's giving me error because the L is in lowercase, and when you import it, make sure that you write the entry of geolocation in provider section also over here, so that it will not give any error. Okay, now let's go to home.ts file where we are writing our geo listening logic. So over here I will create one method. Let's start geolocation, and I will create another method called stop geolocation, and let's bind these two methods inside our home.html. So I'll bind these two methods with the click of start button equal to start geolocation and stop geolocation. Save all. Now let's go to our start geolocation method, in which we will be reading this geolocation. So this geolocation is going to provide me number of parameters like latitude, longitude, and watch ID is ID of the thread which will be responsible for reading the geolocation. So for that, let's create global variables. So over here I will create one watch ID of type any and latitude any and longitude any. Also, like we have integrated 3 different ion range buttons components which are responsible for showing the bearing, tilt and zoom. So for that, let's create 3 variables again: zoom, then tilt of type any again, and bearing. Okay, so we have created the, now let's go to our start geolocation. So before starting anything, we have to provide geolocation option, like how much accuracy you want in when your GPS chipset of your device reads locations in form of latitude, longitude. So I'm creating one geo options, and over here you have to create JSON kind of object, like enable high accuracy. I need high accuracy because I'm using emulator. So when you use this high accuracy, then it might possible your device took a lot of battery power to provide you accuracy, and there might be delay from a satellite to pass the latitude, longitude. So okay, now here before starting anything, we have to make one entry inside our constructor, which is geolocation. So it's not showing okay, let's copy this line of import and paste it in home.ts. This is geolocation. So we are going to use this reference throughout the app. Now let's go to again start geolocation method, and over here let's type this dot geo dot watch position, and in watch position we have to pass this geo options. So this line is going to read the changes in latitude, longitude with the options we provided, and to read the option to read the latitude, longitude and other things, we have to pass geolocation dot subscribe, like you have to subscribe, and it will return the data. And over here I'm going to write everything inside try block, catch if there is any error. Simply alert what is the error. So over here we can write this dot latitude equal to data dot coords dot latitude, longitude. You can read altitude and speed and accuracy whatever you want, but in our case we are only latitude, longitude is required, so I will only read latitude, longitude. This dot longitude equal to theta dot coords dot latitude, So once the location is retrieved, let's display or let's update our marker. So for that, let's do one thing, this dot map, sorry, so we have created this map element in our previous method. So over here, let's add marker and let's write its details. So inside this, let's copy title, and title is hello from Ionic app, and icon, you can use icon red. Earlier we was using blue, now let's use red. And animation, if you want to give something, let's use drop animation. And position is our latitude longitude. So over here, write let this dot latitude and lng this dot longitude. So we have added the marker. So after adding the marker, it might possible that location, this location is anywhere on the map. So if you want to move to that particular location inside the map, because map is a very big entity, very big object, your marker can be anywhere in the world. Like it might possible you are watching over India and suddenly your marker moves to USA. So if you want to move to USA, like you want to focus on USA portion inside the map, then you have to use the camera functionality. So to use the camera functionality, you have to create certain objects, like let's create the object. I will create one variable, let's say Google equal to, and inside this you have to pass some key and values like let and over here I will pass this dot latitude again, and another key name is lng, and this dot longitude. So this is the variable. Now it's time to use the camera functionality of map. So let's write this dot map dot camera. Sorry, it should be this dot move camera, and inside the move camera method you have to provide certain key and its values. Like the first one is target. Target is our Google variable which contains latitude longitude, then tilt. Tilt I will use let's say 60, then zoom, how much zoom you want. Let's say right now I'm hard coding it, and the last one is bearing. So the default I will use 140. That's it, and save it. So we have created this functionality. Now let's go inside, let's create the build and let's see whether we are able to run it properly on Android emulator or not. So until it's preparing, let's remove the old version of this map application. I'm just installing it again and again because I just want to make sure that old instance is not running always, because it happens a lot in Android emulator. Okay, it's prepared. Now let's use build command. In the beginning of this video, I mentioned that there are two types of maps. One is native and one is simple HTML way. So if you are integrating, or if there is any requirement in the app where you want to integrate the Google Map, then you can follow both of the approach, but it depends that what functionality you are going. For example, always use Google native map in for mobile application. If you need map which is updating continuously, and you need to show the directions and all of things, so always prefer the native Google Map, because in native Google Map the performance is very good and it will give nice feeling to the user. But in case of HTML version, always use that one if you're not doing any heavy operations or any fancy stuff with the map, like you just want to show them a direction or path, then always go with that kind of version, which is very easy and which is very lightweight. But this approach, the native one, is you can see that it's a little bit complex. You have to do a lot of stuff. You have to configure Google Developer Console, and you have to provide package name, and it's the SHA-1 fingerprints, and a lot of things are there. So if you miss any one of these steps, then native Google Map will not work. So that's the drawback of Google's native map. Okay, it looks like our APK is created. Now let's open the emulator and let's go to this location. The location was C learning map test and platform, Android, build, and output, then APK. Now let's just drag and drop. Okay, it's loaded. Now let's open the GPS. Let's enable it. So this is the GPS test console. I will make it on, then I will start load. So when I click on the load button, our map will display a default map. So this is the map. Now let's click on the start button. Once I click the start button, then it will ask me allow permission. Okay, so here you can see that now it's showing the location. So to get the proper location, you can click on the map, and inside the map, when I click over this, let's say click over here, it's happening because zoom level is disturbed in this case. So let's see what's the issue. So let's implement this bearing, tilt, and zoom functionality so that it will help us to zoom the map a little bit. So let's go to the code. And let's go to home.html file, and we have this ion range button. So in ion range button, we can bind these ion range to different models and methods. So let's bind it first. So I will use ng model. This is Angular 4 directives, and I will call it bearing value. At the same time, I will call one function at ion change, like the value of this slider changes, it will call this function. So I will call set bearing, and inside bearing I will pass bearing value. So let's do the same thing for other 3 sliders or 3 ion slides. So this one is tilt, so I will call it tilt value, and function name is set tilt, and this one is last one is zoom, so I will call it zoom value. Make sure you are writing this ng model name and parameter name same, because that's a binding. So let's create these variables now inside our home.ts file. First let's declare 3 variables for bearing, zoom and tilt. So I will call it zoom value, tilt value. I'm modifying these previously written variables because I have given some other name. That's it. Now let's create three methods. One is set bearing, another one is set tilt, set zoom, that's it. Now what we have to do is we have to just set this dot, wait, I will simply call it this dot bearing value equal to bearing, and I will call one method called, let's say, update. Let's create one method called update, or let's call it update map. And inside update map we had to create few things like variable, let's call Google, equal to let this dot latitude this dot longitude, and we have to simply call the move camera functionality. So I will call this dot map dot move camera, and inside camera method we have to write a lot of things. Like first one is, we can copy this this one, or let's copy this whole portion and let's paste it inside this, and we have to remove this hardcode value. So I will write over here this dot tilt value, comma, then this dot zoom value, then this dot bearing value. So we have written over here everything. It's giving me error because I have not used this dot. Okay, so we have integrated this. So we have to copy this line in the set tilt and set zoom, and we have to just modify this dot tilt value equal to tilt, and in set zoom method this dot zoom value equal to zoom. So we have written this, but make sure that when you declare these variables, then you initialize them with proper value. So I will initialize them because it might possible at first time it will give me some error, or my map will not display properly. So I will initialize them with some value. Set tilt value equal to 60. I'm just putting it some random values. This dot bearing value equal to 140. That's it. So we have written everything. Now let's go again and let's prepare first and then build, and let's remove the old instance of our application. Let's wait while it's preparing. Okay, it's saying expected comma okay, here. So let's go to, this should not be a semicolon, just remove it, save it, prepare. Let's create the build. Okay, the APK is created. Now let's go to this location and let's install our application. Okay, the UI is loaded. Now let's load the map first. I just hit on the load button. The map is ready. It's showing me this map. Now let's click on GPS. Let's click on start. So let's try changing this zoom value, what it says. The map is not loading. Let's see what is the problem. Okay, I'm using some hard-coded value over here, so let's replace this dot tilt value, this dot zoom value, this dot bearing, let's build the command again. Okay, it's prepared. Now let's build the command, build the application. Okay, it looks like it's not giving us proper map, because here you can see that in longitude I just putting latitude again, so that's why it's not giving the proper, it's not showing the proper map. So it should be longitude. Save. Let's prepare the APK again. Let's run the build command. Okay, the APK is created. Now let's go to the location and let's load the APK inside our emulator. Let's drag and drop. So I'm doing drag and drop because it might possible it can give the error, and I'm using Genymotion in which an Ionic code or emulate command do not works. So that's why I'm creating APK first, then I'm dragging and dropping. So it looks like application is loaded. And this is the UI. Now let's open our GPS test console first. Okay, GPS, I will turn it on, and let's hit the load button first. It's saying map is ready to use. And here we go. This is the map. Now let's hit on start button. Allow. Okay, this is the location. Now let's open the map console, testing map console, and let's see whether it show us live updates of map. I will type San Diego, and here it comes. On right side you can see that when I click over here it will update. The UI is updated on right side. So here you can see that this is this map is completely tilted, but this map is not tilted. So you can use this property, like if you change the tilt, then you can see that map is tilting also. That's fine. And the bearing is the, again you can rotate your map. So it looks like emulator is freezing. Let's give it some time. Let's see whether zoom works. So you can see that zoom is working perfectly. To check whether bearing is working or not, let's go to the code and let's see, we are calling proper function name. The function name is, so here you can see that there is a typo. This is bearing value and here is I'm passing something else, so that's why bearing is not working. So I hope this time it will work. Okay, the parameter names are same. So let's prepare and build command again. Let's load the application again. Refresh, drag and drop. Okay, the UI is loaded. Now let's click on the load button first, which will load the map. The map is loaded. Now let's click on the start button, allow, that's great. So it's showing me this map. Now let's hit the bearing value, bearing range bar. So here you can see that as I'm changing the value of a bearing slider, my map is sliding also, like it's rotating. So that's called bearing. And tilt is, we have seen what tilt do. So that way you can integrate and maintain a lot of markers inside your Google Map, and you can perform step-by-step direction also, and you can test this application in real device also. So in this session we have successfully integrated our Google Map, and we have seen like how to configure Google Map over Google's developer console. If you have any query or any feedback, then you can write comment to my video section, and in my video description I'm going to write all the URL and all the commands so that you can copy and paste in your project and you can use them. So if you have any query or any feedback, please write to me, and if you have any suggestions, then most welcome. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my channel for more upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Have a nice day.